In this video, we are going to start using a graphing calculator to find the curve of best fit. This is going to have a lot of little intricate pieces that we've talked about in a linear sense, but not with a quadratic sense. So there's going to be some parts that look familiar and some parts that are going to be completely brand new, but you are going to need a calculator. So in this problem number 13, it says a group of students dropped a rubber ball and measured the height in inches of the ball for each of its successive bounces. So if I bring up a calculator, I'm going to try to get an emulator one here for you guys so it's the exact same. What I need to do is put this in my stat plot. So I'm going to use this stat button right in the middle if it'll let me. And then I need to go over to edit. Well, in this case, I don't have to go over at all, I suppose. I just hit enter for edit. And then this top line, that's L1. The height is going to be L2. So in L1, I'm going to hit 1, enter, 2, enter, 3, enter, 4, enter, 5, enter. That gets me list 1. I'm going to use these arrow keys off just above the clear button to go over to L2. I'm going to put in 47, enter, 39, enter, 26, enter, 21, enter, and 6, enter. I have to get those perfect. I have to make sure they're all matched up, they're in the same order that we were given, and all that fun stuff. I'm going to show a couple extra things that are not asked for in this question, just so we can kind of refamiliarize ourselves with them. So I can hit the zoom button up here, and then I can hit zoom 9. That's the same as scrolling down here to 9 to zoom stat. That's going to change my window. Right now my window doesn't look like anything. If I hit y equals, this is the shortest way, scroll up to plot 1 and hit enter. That's turning on these dots. So now when I hit zoom 9, zoom stat, it's going to change the window of my graph so I can see all of my dots. Okay, now that's not new. It's a refresher. It's a weird calculator steps that we haven't probably remembered since it's been a while. But the next thing we're going to do is a quadratic regression. If we go back and hit stat, scroll over to calc, first chapter we just did linreg, and we would hit enter, 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 enter a whole bunch of times. And it would give us this. And then I always said we have to make sure we have an r and an r squared. We don't have that, so we have to go mode, scroll down until our stat diagnostics, scroll over, hit enter to turn that on. Now if I do second quit, I can hit second enter. That goes back to doing the last thing I just did. Otherwise I can hit stat over and all that fun stuff again. Now it gives me an r and an r squared. That's what we did first chapter. What we're going to do this chapter is very similar. Stat over to calc, but instead of linreg, we are going to do quadreg for a quadratic regression. Okay, same thing. List 1, list 2, wonderful, hit enter. This is what we're looking for. This is going to give us an equation of y equals, I'm going to write the full thing. We will tell you to round to specific pieces, but I'm going to have negative 0.42857142286 x squared. I could say plus, but minus 7.428571429x plus 54.8. That's our equation. This r squared is the coefficient of determination, which is a big fancy word. Basically just meaning the same thing as what our r value meant previously. We want this to be very, very close to 1. Now, I'm going to go back and hit stat, go over quadreg. I'm going to do something different. Where it says store reg EQ, store regression equation, I'm going to hit the vars button, scroll over to y vars on top of function, hit enter. Now, I could pick any one of these. I'm going to pick y1. Now I'm going to hit calculate. That didn't change anything that we just had here, but if I go to my y equals, it now puts that entire thing into my y equals for me. so that when I go to graph, I can see where my parabola is going to cut through all of those dots. Okay? I hope that makes sense. We've essentially given ourselves an equation now that we can plug stuff into to find more things, but a few of these questions are just going to be identifying our equation. Hope everybody has a great day.